Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Pokemon Pocket video for you. Coming at you with a water deck that is featuring Articuno, but not 18 trainers this time. This time we are pairing the Articuno with the Greninja. Still pulling for my Starmie EX at this point in time. I'm really hoping to get that at some point here in the near future, but in the meantime, Greninja is also a pretty excellent water Pokemon. Our list is 2 Articuno EX, 2 Froakie, 2 Frogadier, 2 Greninja, 2 Potion, 2 Pokeball, 2 X-Speed, 2 Misty, 2 Professor's Research, and 2 Sabrina. Our first opponent is going to be on a Venusaur EX deck. So, the Greninja has the ability to, as an ability, and it can do this from the bench as well, just straight up inflict 20 damage on any Pokemon. It can be your opponent's active, or it could be in the bench as well. That makes it a pretty good attacker, especially to pair with the Articuno, which Blizzard on the Articuno is capable of damaging the bench Pokemon on the opponent's side as well. This lets you definitely get in a lot of damage, and it makes it hard for your opponent to switch out to evade it. Was just double checking the Bulbasaur's retreat cost here. I am actually going to Sabrina it in, because if my opponent wants to use another X-Speed or their energy for the turn to swap the Bulbasaur back out again, that is definitely fine with me, and any amount of damage we can get in on it, as mentioned before, is definitely going to be helpful. So, yeah, gonna just lead off with the Froakie here. Didn't open another Froakie or the Articuno this game, so we're just going to go solo Froakie for this one. Nice to have that other Sabrina in hand. The Sabrinas are very, very helpful, honestly, when it comes to being able to really control the opponent down. Alright, they are going to attach a Grass Energy to the Bulbasaur. Let's see what else they end up doing here. You could also play this deck with the non-EX Articuno as well, if you want to play like a single copy of that. Interestingly enough, they decide not to retreat, but they are going to evolve into the Lilligant. I guess they don't want me to, like, start getting damage in on the Lilligant, and don't feel like chumping their pet Lil. Although I do think that retreating the Bulbasaur was probably just the right play here. I'm going to evolve the Froakie, deal 30 damage to the Bulbasaur, putting it down to 30 here. Now, even if they retreat out, again, Greninja plus Blizzard could do it here, but also just 2 turns of the Greninja ability as well. And it's so nice that that is not an attack and that it is an ability. It's pretty dirty, actually. Alright, finally drawing an Articuno EX. I'm going to play that. Pretty good timing, too, because the Greninja's attack only costs 2 energy, so I don't really need that online. I don't need more than 2 energy on it to be online, rather. So I can start putting my energy onto the Articuno. Here I'm going to Sabrina again. If they want to give me the Bulbasaur, that's fine, but I figured they'd probably give me the Petlil. Also fine because the Mist Slash here does in fact deal 60 damage. So we can one-shot the Petlil, and that's on top of using the Water Shuriken on the Bulbasaur. Now, I was expecting that they might end up evolving into an Ivysaur, although to be fair, they only have 2 cards in hand, and I feel like if they were going to do that, they would have done it already, so odds are actually pretty likely they don't have an Ivysaur in hand right now. Meaning they're kind of in top deck mode to get one here and save the Bulbasaur from getting knocked out. Opponent's going to draw for a turn, and let's see what they've got. Another Grass Energy on the Lilligant. And after that, they're going to Leaf Supply, which is perfectly fine with me, because it means I can, in fact, simply use the Water Shuriken next turn to KO the Bulbasaur, and my opponent, realizing this, is going to concede to us, so there we go. We didn't even need the Articuno at all for that one. We won that game entirely off the back of the Greninja. Like I said, a very, very good card there. And I don't think it's the only game we're going to actually see that be the case, funnily enough. So, of course, we'll go ahead and give our opponent a nice little thanks there before we move on into our next game. This one's going to be against Executor EX. Well, I'm kind of assuming they have Executor EX. A bit of a spoiler here. We're not going to see this Pokemon in particular, but we're going to see a different Executor. Well, the non-EX Executor. Anyway. Alright, we are winning the coin flip. Which is like, I'm so used to Master Duel where that's a good thing. But in this game, it's like kind of not. It doesn't like super duper. Well, it actually does kind of super duper matter. It depends on the board state. There's some board states where going first and not getting the first energy like actually really matters. Here, not really, because we can just attack with the Frogadier with 1 energy anyway. Frogadier? Is that how you say it? I'm not actually sure about that one. Yeah, some Pokemon pronunciations I'm a little more confident than others. But at the same time, it's also like, they're made-up animals. Like, if you know which Pokemon I mean, who cares how you say it, right? Alright, Caterpie's going to find a friend. I can only assume they're looking for the Executor there, but... See, the Caterpie is interesting because it's sometimes indicative of a Butterfree line, but there are a lot of grass techs that'll just use the Caterpie for searching, too. It's very good for that regard. Or in that regard, rather. Going to evolve both my Froakies here before attacking with Water Drip. Putting the Caterpie down to a nice 20 HP to KO it with the Greninja here. Yeah, with the current setup, I could win on the next turn, right? I could Sabrina in the Execute, Greninja, Shuriken, the Caterpie, and then go in. Except they evolved the Execute into Executor. I'm trying to click on it to read it here. Finally get to here. Stomp. So it's pretty much like a toned-down version of Executor EX. It's just a little bit less HP, and it deals a little bit less damage on the attack. They also evolved, by the way. They evolved the Caterpie into the Metapod and are now going to Potion. So it does look like they're actually on a Butterfree line. Looks like the idea of their deck is to use Butterfree to heal over time while they use Executors to continuously attack. Yeah, they won the coin flip on that Stomp, I think that attack is. Or Swing, something like that? No, Tropical Swing is the main, or the Executor EX. Alright, so here I am going to evolve my active Greninja. I'm going to heal it up with a potion here. Definitely want it above 60, that way it doesn't have the potential to get one shot here. And then I'm going to Sabrina in the Metapod, because I also definitely do not want my opponent to be healing with Butterfree. And also we have the opportunity to KO now, so we're going to take it. I'm of course going to Water Shuriken the Metapod before I attack it. Dealing 20, putting it down to 50, and then the 60 from the Mist Slash is going to be able to get a KO here. Alright, so Metapod's down. We don't have to worry about that line. The Executor is still quite a bit to deal with, though. 130 HP is still a lot, with the potential to deal up to 60 damage per turn, at least 30. Alright, so they're going to Pokeball here. Let's see what they end up finding. Okay, we're waiting for our opponent, who's going to put a Grass Energy on. And let's see if they land heads here. And thankfully they don't. They actually land tails, so they only end up dealing 30 HP of damage. It's pretty nice for us. Now, between the Shuriken and the attack, we deal 80 damage per turn, so we can KO this Executor over 2 turns. Them not putting anything in the bench is also really, really good for us too, by the way. It means that if we can just get rid of this Executor, then that might be enough to just do it. So like I said before, we're going to Water Shuriken before we get in for 60. Yeah, the ability, it's just so much damage. Like, 80 damage for 2 energy would already be a pretty good rate, but it's actually just better than that. Because you can split it, you get a 60-20 split, and the 20 can go anywhere. It's so good. And the 20 doesn't use an attack. I know I keep harping on about it, but it's like, it's such a unique ability. And thankfully our opponent landed tails yet again. That means our Greninja survives with 20 HP, which also means that we are inevitably going to win, as the opponent has nothing left on the bench. Even though we're not quite at 3 points yet, we still win once we knock out that Executor. So that is going to be the victory here. Good stuff. All right. Got one last game that we are going to end up taking a look at before we finish off the video here. This next one will be against a pretty interesting brew. So it's a Brock deck, but it's also playing some fire stuff. And actually, I really like where this person's head is at with this build. So, because they end up playing Rapidash in addition to Golem. But here's the thing about Golem. Golem's attack takes 1 fighting energy and then 3 colorless. Meaning that I think our opponent, because I didn't see a fighting energy naturally come up in their pool the whole game. So I think what our opponent's doing is that they're only on fire energy, they removed fighting from their pool, and they're solely using the Brock to get the fighting energy they need. Which I don't think that's a horrible idea. Again, I like where my opponent's head is at. I don't know if it's actually good enough, but I think it is an interesting concept. I will say, as cool as I do think the card is, because I actually own a full art copy of it, I own a full art Brock. I was thinking about this just earlier today. I kind of think Brock is the worst supporter card right now, But I also think that supporter cards are pretty good right now if Brock is the worst one. Attaching an energy, even one as a supporter, is a pretty good action. So I think what makes Brock not so great is I can only do it to exactly Golem or Onyx, which are neither of which are really the best attackers, unfortunately. Misty is so... Misty, when you compare Brock and Misty, it's so unfair. Brock only can ever attach one. It does do it guaranteed, but only to one of two Pokemon, right? It's like, huh? Whereas Misty can target any water Pokemon. And, hey, speaking of Misty, got a couple of copies right there. And Misty can also, of course... Well, we've all seen the tweet, right? The image where... somebody landed 51. I guess I saw it on Twitter. I don't know if it was first a tweet, but yeah, when the game first came out and somebody landed 51 heads. Now that's something you would expect to see normally, but I mean, even landing 2 is already like absurdly good. And it can do it on any water Pokemon too. That's ridiculous. Like, it'd be one thing if Misty said, like, you know, Staryu, Starmie. I guess those are really only her iconic Pokemon from the games anyway, huh? Well, anyway, our opponent's going to go into a Rapidash here and use the Fireman on the Articuno. Fortunately, Ice and Water are not separate in this game, so the Rapidash is in fact weak to our Articuno here. We're going to Pokeball for our last basic, that of course being the second Articuno, and trying for some Misty luck here. Now, before this game, I had yet to land even a single heads on any Misty I'd ever resolved. But as you can see here, we landed 1, 2, 3, 4 heads, which is phenomenal. I was like, if I could even get one, I just wanted one so that way I could Blizzard, right? And the game decided to just give me 4, and it's like, yeah, okay, we'll take that. So I can start setting up the benched Articuno instead. Going to get to knock out the Rapidash in one shot and deal 10 to each of our opponent's benched Pokemon, that being the Geodude and Graveler they're setting up alongside the other Ponyta there. So, alright, opponent's turn. Yeah, it's interesting that they put out the Ponyta there. I mean, I guess what else are they going to put out if they're trying to set up the Golem? Well, they have the other Rapidash in hand, I guess, like, what else are you going to use the Rapidash, right? No, that actually does make sense now that I think about it. Because if you put out the Geodude, that's going to get one shot anyway, right? Okay, the Golem is on the board. They're going to use Sabrina. Interesting. I will definitely put out my undamaged Articuno EX. Next turn, I can simply attach the other energy to it and then pay the 2 energy retreat costs. I really don't think that would be too much of an issue at all here. Not at all. Not at all. We can also, of course, we do have the other Misty. Maybe we can get lucky again? No, I didn't think so. That's all good. Honestly, like I said, even landing 1 heads on that first Misty was a game changer, and we landed 4. That was still so wild, so much overkill. I guess to be fair, 2 actually does make a difference over 1, because that's what lets me attach the extra energy onto the bench Articuno here, but other than that, it didn't really particularly matter, so... Yeah, we get to take out this Rapidash here. And they're going to bring in their Golem. But, I mean, we already have the game at this point, right? Even with Brock, they can't set up their Golem, which they actually did top deck Brock here. Even with Brock, they can't set up their... I'm a little bit early, but yep, there it is. They can't set up their Golem, right? In time to actually be able to attack with it. And I already have the Sabrina in my hand, so... It is just GG's at this point. Sabrina pulls out the Geodude, we knock it out with Blizzard, and that is the 3rd point we need to win. And our opponent, realizing this, is going to concede. So, there we have it. That'll do it. Thanks for checking out this video. Hopefully you found this deck as cool as I did. I have a ton of other Pokemon Pocket deck profiles, so feel free to check them out. And sub if you want to see some more. Also do Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel on the main channel with over 18,000 subs. Link in the description below. But that'll do it for this video here. So, like I said, thank you as always for watching. This is Hexlex. I'm signing out, hoping you have a fantastic day.